Their Lord gives them good tidings of mercy from Him, and approval, and of gardens for them, wherein is enduring pleasure. They will be abiding therein forever. Indeed, Allah has with Him a great reward. Inna Allaha indahu ajrun azim. Allah has no shortage of rewards. No shortage whatsoever. Our desires, the desires and wishes of people will be exhausted, but the blessings of Allah will not end. The rewards that He has promised will not end. The last person to enter Jannah, when he will enter Jannah, Allah will ask him, what do you want? So he will say, I want this, and I want this, and I want this. Can you imagine a person being asked by Allah, what would you like? You can imagine what long of a list he would have. Haven't you ever seen the list that children make for Santa? Huh? And Santa cannot even give anything. It's not even real. Imagine Allah asking the person, what do you want? And every wish of his is granted. And when he's done asking, Allah will say, what else? Ask for more. And then a person will think and say, okay this. And then he will say, that's it. Allah will say, what about this? Don't you want that? He says, yeah, I want that. What about that? Don't you want that? Yeah, I want that. And then Allah will remind him of what he could want, of what he could enjoy, what he could have. And Allah will give him to the point that his wishes, his desires will be exhausted. Meaning a person will not be able to know how he can enjoy anymore. And then Allah will say, you have this, and 10 times it's like. 10 times it's like. Inna Allaha indahu ajrun azim. Allah has with Him a great reward. So what is it that can get us that great reward? What is mentioned in these ayat? Believing in Allah, striving in His cause. And striving in His cause, how? Happily. Happily. Not begrudgingly. Because we do many things, but we do them with anger. We're miserable inside. Oh, I wish I could be doing something else. Right? So for example, before coming here, okay, alhamdulillah, 10th juz finally, 20 more days to go. Huh? Or then after class thinking, oh, my back today, khalas. Or then thinking at night, Ramadan is coming soon. I don't think I can go when I'm fasting. These are natural feelings. But when you remind yourself, Inna Allaha indahu ajrun azim, then you have to do a little bit sabr. You say, it's okay, just 20 more days. Just 19 more days. Just 18 more days. Inshallah, I can do it. I want to see Allah at the end of this. I want Him to be happy. O you who have believed, do not take your fathers or your brothers as allies if they have preferred disbelief over belief. And whoever does so among you, then it is those who are the wrongdoers. قُلْ إِنْ كَانَ آبَاؤُكُمْ وَأَبْنَاؤُكُمْ وَإِخْوَانُكُمْ وَأَزْوَاجُكُمْ وَعَشِيرَتُكُمْ وَأَمْوَالٌ اقْتَرَفْتُمُوهَا وَتِجَارَةٌ تَخْشَوْنَ كَسَادَهَا وَمَسَاكِنُ تَرْضَوْنَهَا أَحَبَّ إِلَيْكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَجِهَادٍ فِي سَبِيلِهِ فَتَرَبَّصُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الْفَاسِقِينَ. Say, if your fathers, your parents, your sons, your children, your brothers, your wives, your relatives, the wealth which you have obtained, the commerce, the business wherein you fear decline, and dwellings, homes, with which you are pleased with, if these are more beloved to you than Allah and His Messenger and jihad in His cause, then wait until Allah executes His command. And Allah does not guide the defiantly disobedient people. What does this ayah mean? That as believers, we have to love Allah, His Messenger, His religion, more than all people, and more than the things that we have, more than money. Allah, His Messenger, and the religion of Allah. This has to be our passion. Passion. Because only then can we put aside these things that are mentioned in this ayah. Why a passion? Because the reward is great. And unless we are passionate for Allah, His Messenger, and the Deen, we cannot work for Allah. We cannot strive in the way of Allah. Then what will happen? Little things will seem like a burden. Think about it. Generally, who is it that we love? Those that are mentioned in this ayah. What is it that we love the most? It is the things which are mentioned in this ayah. Our money. And for women especially, houses, homes. Even if it's a small house, 1-bedroom apartment, not even 1 bedroom, studio apartment, even that to a woman is more beloved than it is to a man. Always. You will find this. Once I went to Bangladesh and there I found these people who were living in extreme poverty. Extreme poverty. And they were sharing the roof. Okay, so the roof was shared, which meant that there was just these small walls in the middle. Alright, so basically each family had just one room. And they had an area where their kitchen was. So we wanted to go see how the kitchen was like. We thought there would be a shared kitchen. The kitchen was not shared. Each family, each woman had her own stove. Her own stove. They live in the same area, but they cannot share their stoves. Why? Because to a woman, her house is her territory. This is mine, I cannot share it. Isn't it so? Kitchens especially. We cannot share it. You can't cook, my turn to cook. No turn, it's mine. This is mine. Even if somebody tries to help us with the dishwasher, you can't do it the way I do, so don't bother helping me. Even if the husband offers, today let me put the dishes away, and you go put the kids to bed. No. You put the kids to bed, kitchen is mine. This is mine. This is a natural weakness of the women. Now, what do we see in this ayah? Everything is mentioned. People, those who are closest to us. Who? Father, mother, children, spouse, husband, wife, relatives. And then money is mentioned, home is mentioned. And all of this has been crossed out. That no, you can't love any one of these more than Allah, His Messenger, and the deen of Allah. Allah is first. Allah is first. His Messenger is first. The religion of Allah is first. And everything else is secondary. Family is not first here. When it comes to worshipping Allah, then family is not first there. You see, these ayat were revealed in the context of the Battle of Tabuk. And the Battle of Tabuk was unlike any other battle. It was the battle in which every single Muslim was ordered to participate. It was fard ayn. Every individual had to come forward. Nobody was allowed to stay behind. So, with respect to that, it is mentioned that what is preventing you? What is preventing you? Is it your family? Well, you have to strive in the way of Allah. Is it your money? You have to go forward in obedience to Allah. So remember, when it comes to fard ayn, when it comes to the obligations that Allah has put on us as individuals, then what will happen? When it is time to pray, then your child is second in importance. You understand? When it is time to give zakat, then the house is second in importance. And likewise, when there is something that we can only do, and people are in need, they need to learn, then striving in the way of Allah also becomes what? First priority. It becomes first priority. Because think about it, how many people need the knowledge of the Qur'an today? How many people? Do you know how much people struggle to learn the book of Allah? If we ever hear their stories, if we ever even think about how much people desire to learn the book of Allah. In the weekend class, there's this one lady, I was amazed. She said she leaves every morning when she comes to the class. She comes from downtown taking buses. She leaves at 7, 8 in the morning. 7, 8 in the morning she comes. And one day, when I did speak to her, she had a project that day with her group. She said, I left 6 a.m. in the morning. Can you imagine? Saturday or Sunday, you leave at 6 a.m., leaving your family at home? Why is she coming? 5 days a week she's at work. 2 days a week she comes all the way here, sitting on bus after bus to study the book of Allah. And these are people who love the book of Allah. There are other people who don't even know about the book of Allah, who have not even recognized it. Who's going to tell them? Who's going to tell them? Can we tell Allah on the Day of Judgment that, Ya Allah, I was very busy maintaining my kitchen and doing my laundry every day. It was just too much to do. I couldn't spare even 1 hour to give in your cause. I couldn't spare even half an hour to give in your cause. I couldn't even spare 1 or 2 days to give in your cause. Each person is different. They have different responsibilities, different roles. But remember, as members of the Muslim Ummah, as people of the Ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, each and every one of us is also carrying a huge responsibility. Many times women are told, you don't need to worry about anything. You just need to worry about yourself and your children. Yes, you should worry about that. But if you know the Qur'an, and there are people who don't know, who's going to teach them? ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. Look at this ayah. Isn't this evident? We have to strive in the way of Allah. And if we don't, then what will happen? Allah threatens us. فَتَرَبَّصُوا. Just wait and see what happens. And we see what has happened in Muslim communities all over the world. All over the world. Are we not suffering? Are we not suffering? At a global level, in every community we are suffering. Why? Because we have left striving in the way of Allah. We are too busy making money, paying off our mortgages, and maintaining our houses. And we do not care about the masjid. We do not care about promoting the deen of Allah. That will teach people, that will dispel their doubts and will answer their questions and will educate them. We don't have time for that. We have all the time to earn our degrees so that we can get good jobs and we can live comfortable, good lives. And then what happens? Generation after generation, people are forgetting the deen. Don't we see children in Muslim families who don't even know the basics of the deen? Why is that so? Why is that so? Because we have put the deen aside. We have put striving in the way of Allah aside. We think this is the duty of who? Just certain people. Crazy people. Like we learned earlier in the surah. They call such people crazy. Extremists. Women who don't care about their families. While if the same woman goes to work 5 days a week, then what will happen? The husband will look after the children, he will even cook, he will do the gardening and the groceries and everything. But if she wants to go to learn the Qur'an, then what happens? No support. And this is your test. Because Allah is checking us. How sincere is the intention? How willing are we to sacrifice in the way of Allah? So, فَتَرَبَّصُوا حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ اللَّهُ بِأَمْرِهِ. Until Allah brings about His order. And remember that striving in the way of Allah is not just in the battlefield. This is not just at a time when there is war. No. وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. A mighty jihad is through the Qur'an. Taking the Qur'an forward. That is in itself such a huge struggle. To understand the word of Allah and to pass it on to somebody. The questions they have, answer those questions. The doubts they have, the worries, the fears they have, dispelling those. That is also something that requires a lot of effort. And that is something that we need to exert our efforts in. Allah has already given you victory in many regions, and even on the day of Hunayn, when your great number pleased you, but it did not avail you at all. And the earth was confining for you with its vastness, then you turned back fleeing. So your richness will not bring you victory. Who will bring you victory? Allah will. Because sometimes we think, oh, let me get very, very rich, and then I will help the masjid. And then what happens? When a person gets too rich, then he's too busy looking after his money. Then Allah sent down His tranquility upon His messenger and upon the believers, and sent down soldier angels, whom you did not see, and punished those who disbelieved. And that is a recompense of the disbelievers.